Hello there. It is 2:30 on a Saturday morning. I'm in Hanamdong on a pedestrian overpass. Below me is Hanamdaero. Got a few people at the bus stop down here waiting on the night bus. Over there, that's the 9-1 apartments, standing where there used to be some U.S. military apartments. There's some businesses over here and another apartment complex where a university used to be, and then on up the street a little bit, the president's official residence is there, occupying space that used to belong to one of the ministers. I can't remember what. And I'm gonna come out here in an upcoming video and talk about all of that, my memories of Hanamdong. I lived here for many of the years that I've been in Korea, a huge chunk of them. About a third of the time I've been here, I think, something like that. I don't live in Hanamdong now. We live further up in that direction. This morning, I'm gonna take you on another 3 a.m. walk through Seoul. I've done this once before, back in November. I took you into central Seoul from Shindangdong. And this time, I'm taking you from here in Hanamdong. We're gonna go over to Gangnam Station, which is straight down this direction. Hanamdaero here goes to the Hanam Bridge, which is just where that group of lights is at. This overpass here goes over the next intersection directly onto the bridge. On the other side of that bridge is Gangnam-daero, Gangnam Boulevard. From there, it's about a half a block to Shinsa Station, and then a block to Nonhyun Station, and another block to Shin Nonhyun Station, and another block to Gangnam Station. That is the most direct route to walk to Gangnam Station. There are sidewalks across the bridge, but we're not going that way. That's too easy. I want to show you the Han River Park at night. I love walking through there after midnight. It's quiet, it's calm, it's beautiful to see. There may be people jogging or riding their bikes even at that hour. So we're gonna check that out. And to get there, we are first going to cut through this little area of Hanamdong here. There is a more direct route to the park going in this direction, but we're gonna cut through here instead. Now this is an interesting little neighborhood. There's always been somewhat of a nightlife here. I think I first came to a noraebang, one of the little singing rooms here, in the early 90s. It would have been before midnight, because back then they still had that rule that everything had to shut down at midnight. But there were karaoke bars, there were singing rooms, all kinds of things down here, even in the early 90s. But yeah, there used to be a university up the street, or across the street over there, on the other side of Hanam Boulevard. And I wouldn't call this a college neighborhood. It was never a college neighborhood, but I think a lot of the university students were what gave this area most of its business. And when the university relocated, there was a protest from all the business owners around here. But they didn't need to protest anything, because other areas of Hanamdong started to gentrify after the university left, because Itaewon was gentrifying, and so businesses started coming down this way. And then it just spilled over into this area to some degree. So there are plenty of places, plenty of businesses around here now for the nightlife, and plenty of people to go to them. Some of the businesses around here are old, but some of them are newer. And there used to be a bar here where the 7-Eleven is on the corner that I used to go to. I used to go there every Friday night. I'd keep a bottle of whiskey there. It would take me a month to work through it, going there every Friday. I'd just nurse a few glasses of scotch and water. My brother-in-law still has the old hot dog shop, mostly a bar now, up that way, up at the other end of the street. But we're not going up that way tonight. Gonna head down through here. So yeah, this street here has always been full of drinking establishments. You got little small Korean style bars for the soju. You've got other bars with beer and whiskey and all that, and all night restaurants. And here's one of the singing rooms of Noraebang down in the basement here of this building. And there used to be a little makgeolli bar somewhere around here that my wife and I liked to go to sometimes. Makgeolli is the rice wine, the Korean rice wine. Yeah, that stuff will get you drunk really, really quickly before you even know it. This is another Noraebang singing room. And you see all these barriers here. This is part of the Hangnam New Town project. This is another part of my life right here that's disappearing. I never lived in any of the buildings here, but my wife and I spent 10 years living up the street, 4 years in one place and 6 years in another. I walked through here fairly often, going down to the subway station down here. There's a Hangnam station. So going either to Hangnam station or to the Riverside Park, I would come through this way. The last time I did this, I said that my biggest concern coming out at this time of the day was drunk people. So that alleyway back there that we just came down, typically I would avoid that kind of street when I'm sober. If I'm out drinking, it's a different story, but when I'm sober, I typically don't like to go down through those areas because you never know what's going to happen. And especially when I've got a camera with me, who knows how a drunk person is going to react if they think you're pointing a camera at them. So I wouldn't recommend walking through areas like that, unless you're hanging out with friends and planning to partake yourself, because then you fit right in. I don't want to give the impression that that's dangerous or that, something bad is going to happen. But in my experience, when bad things do happen, it's in areas like that with drunk people around. And another thing I did mention in the last video, you do have to watch out for drivers at this hour. With the streets as empty as they are, people are more likely to run red lights. You're more likely to encounter drunk drivers. So that is a real thing to be concerned about. And I noticed that in my comments, a lot of the Korean viewers were concerned that I was wearing dark clothing in that video, and drivers would be less likely to see me. So in order to make sure that people watching the video today are not stressed out over the color of the clothing I'm wearing, I wore a white shirt this time and some ivory colored pants. So I should stand out to people who aren't drunk. Anyway, right there where that sign is, just on the other side of that, you've got the train tracks, and the river is beyond that. And Hangnam Station is right over there. The entrance is right in front of that apartment building right there. But we are going this way to the Hangang Kongwan, Hangang Park, the Han River Park. I've showed you this before in one of my favorite places videos. That is the Pampo Bridge, the top bridge, and the bottom bridge is the Jamsu. The top bridge, the Pampo, is still primarily for vehicular traffic, but the bottom bridge, it used to be for vehicular traffic, but it has been converted. You've got 2 lanes for vehicles, and one side of the bridge has both pedestrian and bicycle tracks, and the other side, I think, has a pedestrian path. So that is a very easy and safe place to cross the river. Safe meaning you don't have to worry about getting hit by a car crossing one of the expressway on-ramps or off-ramps, unlike the Hanam Bridge here, because you've got expressways on both sides of the river. Like right here above us is one, and there's another one over there on the other side. And both expressways have on and off ramps to all these bridges. So anytime you walk across one of the bridges, you're going to be crossing the area where cars come barreling onto the bridge. It can be dangerous when there's traffic, but at this time of night, the one issue with this bridge is because it's so low, it can get flooded out. This used to be the northbound lanes. There were, I guess, 2 lanes here. And then these were the southbound lanes over here. So the entrance to the tunnel, maybe you can see it slopes up right up there. The water during the monsoon season would get all the way up, almost sometimes to the entrance, the top of the entrance over there. So they would close it down during the monsoon season because of flooding. This is the Pampo section of the Han River Park on the other side of the bridge here, and I've seen some signs there indicating that fishing isn't allowed for a certain stretch. It's not prohibited completely, it's just within a certain range of that sign for some distance. So I don't know what the regulations are about fishing these days. I can't remember the last time I saw somebody fishing down here. I'll have to look that up. It didn't occur to me before I came out here. Here I was just a minute ago talking about fishing, and I just passed 2 guys behind me fishing off the side of the bridge. I'm sure that can't be legal. All right, so this is a festival of some kind. Chukje, I guess, is festival, but Tubok, I don't know what that means. But this is Chaopneun Jamsugyo. Chaopneun means no cars. Jamsugyo is the bridge we're on. The top line, Jamsugyo Kyotongdongje, Jamsu Bridge, traffic control or something, and no car Jamsu Bridge, so car-free Jamsu Bridge. The Tubok Festival. I guess they're setting up for it. The dates there say June 1st to June 22nd. Meju Iryoil means every Sunday. Meju is every week. Iryoil is Sunday. So I guess the festival itself is happening on Sunday, but of course the traffic is prohibited all weekend if they're setting it up now. Okay, this is cool. All of the beanie chairs have little like milk crates or whatever you call them, the plastic crates next to them with tabletops so you can set down your drinks. That is cool. This area here, probably can't see it now, but this area here is where a lot of people come to watch the Rainbow Fountain show. And all this grassy area over here, lots of people like to have picnics here. it can get really, really crowded. Yeah, there's, gosh, about 15 people maybe. I didn't expect to see so many. I didn't know people came down here at night. I guess, yeah, it's good for dates. Come sit and have some drinks with some friends. I mean, I knew they came down here at night. I didn't think they'd be out here at 3 o'clock in the morning. So there is a tunnel over here to take us out of the park. I brought you into the park through that tunnel in that favorite places video I mentioned earlier. We're not going to go there this time. The amount of concrete that you used to see down in these riverside parks was much, much, much greater than what you see today. Now this area, the Pampo Park and also the Apgujeong Park, they were greener than the parks on that side of the river. So you would see a lot more concrete on that side of the river. Another thing is they didn't have the amount of vegetation that they have here now, the number of trees and other kinds of plants, and you can't really see it too well right now. It's just going to come out as black, but there is a whole bunch of trees right over there along the edge of the water. And as far as I know, as far as I can recall, that used to be not the case. That did not used to be the case. There may have been a few trees there, but it was mostly just the concrete. The embankments going down to the water were all just concrete. Now, a few years ago, there was a trail that let you still go down to the water, and I could see that some of the concrete was still there. The vegetation was just growing around it. But maybe you'll be able to see more of the vegetation here with this light. Yeah, none of this was here back in the day. None of it. And there's another huge area of greenery right up here, all kinds of vegetation that wasn't here. I found an article, or just a web page. It's not an article, I think it's a Seoul city government site. From the time the Hangang Renaissance project, the redevelopment project, got started in, I think, 2007 until the end of 2023, they had removed, they said 80% of the concrete that was down here. 80 friggin' percent. Gotta watch out for those little raccoon dog things or whatever they call them. I've never seen one, but I've heard about them. Yeah, that's part of what this Hangang Renaissance project was all about, was getting space for wildlife to come back. So they removed 80% of the concrete down here between 2007 and 2023, and they had a plan to remove another 5 or 10% by the end of 2024. I'll have to go back and look. I'll link the page in the description below. But it was 3 million something trees that they planted, and they had a plan to add another 70 or 80,000 more or something through 2024. That's across the length of the Riverside Park. It's not just, in one area. It's on both sides of the river for the extent, I guess, within the city limits. Yeah, you had trees and grass down here, but you had a hell of a lot more concrete between it all. I should turn off my wireless mic and turn on my camera mics to pick up some of this noise. In fact, I think I'll do that.
saw you. So soon you'll take me up in your arms, too late to beg you or cancel it, though I know it must be the killing time, unwillingly mine. Fate up against your will, through the thick and thin, he will wait until you give yourself to him. In starlit nights I saw you, so cruelly you kissed me. Your lips a magic world, your sky all hung with jewels. The killing moon will come too soon. Fate up against your will, through the thick and thin, he will wait until you give yourself to him. Unwillingly mine. Fate up against your will, through the thick and thin, he will wait until you give yourself to him. Fate.
This is definitely where you will find 24-hour restaurants and cafes here in Seochogu and over in Gangnam, different neighborhoods. Lots and lots of 24-hour places around here. It's like this place is still open. Jeil Gopjang. Jeil means best. Gopjang is the intestines. Yeah, so we are not going to go to Gangnam Boulevard. We're instead going to walk through this back street. This will take us down to Gangnam Station. So I think it's more interesting to come through here because this is where all the nightlife is. There are maybe a couple of 24-hour cafes, I think, on the main street, on the boulevard. But yeah, all of the activity happens here on the back streets. Here's a 24-hour restaurant. Yeah, this is the Gangnam nightlife at 4:30 on a Saturday morning. And the street food carts here are a permanent fixture. Memories of a bygone era. This whole street used to be full of street food carts, especially over on that side. There were so many of them over there, but they were all unlicensed, I guess. And several years ago, the local government hired a bunch of thugs to go tip them all over. That was unbelievable. It was one of those things that kind of shocked the senses. I remember seeing the aftermath of it. I came through early in the morning on my way to work, and there were carts tipped over, and there were still police standing around. But yeah, they had hired actual thugs to come over and intimidate the cart owners and just damage them, tip them over, knock stuff off of them, or whatever they could do to them. And the cops just stood by and watched. And that's how the local government got rid of the street food vendors. But you notice these buildings are all relatively new. For many, many, many years, there was a bakery. There was a building here that had a bakery on the first floor. It was the New York Bakery. And anytime you met somebody at Gangnam Station, they would usually say, "Meet me outside the New York Bakery." And this was where you would meet people. I don't know if I ever ate anything at the New York Bakery. Yeah, so that is actually Gangnam District over here. This is still Socho District where we're at. But it's all the same, just different governments. And we have arrived at Gangnam Station. I hope that the footage I shot down by the river comes out. I hope you were able to see it. If you like this video, please do click that thumbs up. I don't usually ask people to do that, but it really helps if you do. So this time I am asking. I always thank people for doing it without asking them, but please do if you enjoyed the video. And I will do another 3 a.m. walk somewhere down the road. I don't know how soon, but I've got more walks coming. I do have a playlist on the channel for the walk-centric videos. I walk in all my videos, but usually the focus is not on the walking. The focus is often on a neighborhood or my favorite places or something like that. But this video is focused on the walk, right? So I do have other videos here on the channel where I focused on walks, and I've published some of them rather recently. So there is a playlist for that. This video is going in that playlist. And if you want to see more such videos, just look up there at the top of the screen. I got to think it's probably going to be over on that side, isn't it? You'll be able to get to the playlist and see my other walking videos. So thank you for joining me on this walk. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. So as I'm walking home, I find there is a 24-hour Subway sandwich shop. I had no idea this was a thing. I have worked up an appetite, so score.